So you get home from work and you've got a few hours to play some video games before you have to take your dog to the vet because he swallowed your television remote. In those few hours, you're looking for something that's enjoyable quickly, that doesn't take too much time for you to get into. So you heard about Assassin's Creed Shadows. You enjoyed the first two games in that series uh, 10 years ago, and you think maybe I'll give that a try again. So this review is going to analyze Assassin's Creed Shadows from the perspective of the 9 to 5 worker. I've come up with some criteria that are designed to help you understand whether the game might be for you or not in a bite-sized chunk. 2 hours here, an hour there, maybe longer on the weekends. So I'll get right into it and I'll go over each category as I explain it. So the game is called Assassin's Creed Shadows. It's the most recent game in the massive Assassin's Creed 50 game franchise or however many games there are. Single player only, not online, RPG. That's the genre. I played for 21.7 hours. I have not beat the game, but I played quite a bit of it to know that I don't want to play anymore. The price is 89.99 Canadian. So that is a very high price. This is pretty much maxed out for games, for AAA games. And let's start with the first score. So you buy the game. First score is time to reward. So upon launching the game, how quickly are you actually having any fun? Well, for this game, it's pretty bad. If you don't care about the story at all, it's not as bad because you can skip all the cutscenes. However, in the 20 hours I played, there were so many cutscenes, I feel like, and I skipped all of them because I don't care about the story. I feel like I must be missing half of what they spent their money on when they played this game. So I can't tell you whether the story is good or bad. It might be good. I didn't watch it. I didn't want to watch a movie. I wanted to play a video game. So if you're looking for the gameplay elements and you're willing to skip the cutscenes, it's still pretty slow because there are tutorial sequences that you can't skip. It took me maybe 2 hours before I was in the actual free open world section to play. And even then, you aren't allowed to use both characters that the game has until like 10 hours in, which is a real shame because I don't see why they bothered designing all of these fun systems for the player to use. Because I guarantee 30% of the player base never even got to the samurai character because they just didn't want to play anymore. So if that's the case, just let people enjoy those 10 hours that they play more, right? So for this one, I'm going to score pretty poorly. I'm going to say this one is a slow burn. Another issue is they designed the game to make you feel like there's a power fantasy. There's a very big talent tree that they want you to level up, and some of your most fun and important abilities are locked behind high levels in the talents. And so you're fairly useless in the beginning of the game. I played on the harder of the two difficulties. You die in a single hit to many, many enemies, which is tedious and frustrating. But the way that you need to play around that is by running away. Like, it is an Assassin's Creed game, so I understand that it is the intent for you to play stealthily, and I have fun doing that. You find the right angle, you wait until the enemies aren't looking, and then you jump and you kill one, and then you run away, you wait for them to stop looking, you climb up, you run away. So it can be enjoyable. It's just very slow. It takes you, an hour to clear a single camp if you're going to do it that way. And then once you start unlocking more abilities, you can chain together assassinations much quicker, and you're more capable. And so the game, I wish the player power started a bit higher on the curve. I like the pursuit of power. I like the talent trees as a concept, but you're so incredibly weak and useless in the beginning, it's hard to get through that slog, to get the multi-kill assassinations, to get more than 3 kunai, to make your kunai deal more damage. So the time to reward is pretty bad, even after all the cutscenes and all the tutorials. When you do get in the game, the beginning section of the game is probably the least enjoyable. There's the least things for you to do. Your gear is the weakest. You die the quickest. It's overall pretty damn slow to get into. It's very easy for me to say if you don't have much time to play, I would just give this one a pass. And I'll say that right off the bat for the first criteria. Learning curve. So what you're going to have to learn in this game is some enemies can be assassinated, and the assassination will deal. They have health segments, so it'll deal a certain amount of health segments. For the first character you play, combat without assassination is it's possible, totally possible, but it's not the most viable method of killing things. So you're pretty much going to be chaining, throwing kunai, or assassinating to kill all the enemies you encounter. Some enemies can't be assassinated because they're too large. until you get a certain talent that allows you to do that. But I never even got to that point in the game because you need so many points to get there. So all you're going to learn is how do I have to kill these guys? And you learn that pretty quick. The next thing you're going to learn is, wow, I die so quickly. I'm not even going to try fighting these things in one-on-one combat. I'm just going to keep running away and letting myself go out of line of sight again. So there's not many buttons you can learn, and the game only exposes you to so much in the beginning because it spoon feeds you your ninja tools like your smoke bomb or your bells or your shuriken or your kunai, and you have to level up your talents. So the little things you can do in combat, they only give you one at a time. So it's not a hard game to learn. Session flexibility. So how long is the typical play session? Well, it's a single player game, so you can pause at any time. I don't know. I think there are autosaves. So if you were, for example, there are kind of like there are loose missions where you just have to kill somebody in the open world. And then there are missions that are loading screen, sequenced event that's linear. There are physical barriers keeping you on rails so you can't leave. Those missions, it's likely to reset a decent amount of your progress if you quit out of those. So depending on what part of the game you're at, will determine what the session flexibility is, but it is a single player game. It's not online. Your progress doesn't really reset, so it's pretty good in terms of how flexible it is. Grind and Tedium. I would say this game is a grind entirely. So leveling up, pretty much there's like 3 different types of enemies, maybe 4. Big guy, quick guy, regular guy, and bow guy. And you'll just see those same guys everywhere. And the only thing that changes is they have more HP. So once you've killed the second camp in the game, that's pretty much the entire rest of the game. So the only difference you're looking for is your own ability, like the power fantasy. How quickly am I going to be able to dispatch these guys, even though they're identical? And maybe the extra element that I don't know about is that story. Maybe that's why people play. Maybe that's what's keeping a lot of people engaged, is knowing what the 2 main characters' story is about. But for me, I really don't care. I'm just trying to have fun with the actual gameplay mechanics of the game. Not to say I don't enjoy stories in games. This one, though, specifically, you have to have the best of both worlds. If it's a great game and a great story, perfect. But if it's not a great story, at least make it a great game. And for this one, it's not a great game. So for the grind and tedium, so here's why there's a grind and tedium. Resources. You have to upgrade like a castle or something, and those tie you to the player power. Like you have scouts that you can send on expeditions. It's like a little background system, a little side quest bullshit to get more power. You just have to do a ton of farming to get your player's power up. You have to kill a ton of minions, or you have to climb. Remember those like Far Cry things where you climb to the top and you see the whole area, shit like that? That's a grind because it's the same every time, and you're not really enjoying it. You're just doing it because you want to get stronger. And so typically it's better when the things that increase the player power are tied behind things the player actually wants to do. And so for me, there's the little rhythm games where you have to press like different keys on your controller or arrows to do different, or your keyboard to do different hand signs to unlock nodes, and the nodes progress to tiers in your skill tree. I would just do away with all of that. I really don't want to be partaking in that. There were certain things like assassinating targets and actually killing them. That's the fun part. And I wish the game was pretty much 99% that. But there are fetch quests galore. There's really just a lot of inflation with Tedium. Get this, kill these things. Tons of looting, random straw and wood and coal and, classic material grind in a game about killing and assassinating people. That's a taboo for me. So it's a very grindy game. The value proposition. How good is the game relative to the cost? It's dog shit relative to the cost. It's not like, in a vacuum, the game has some merit. And we'll get to that in the core loop satisfaction. But it's the most expensive type of game you can get on the market. And what is it giving you? Well, okay, let's backpedal that a little bit. There is a lot of content. But it's the same shit. So it's like there's 20 different regions, but they just copy and pasted the same castle 50 times. And there's the bow guy, the fast guy, the big guy, and the regular guy. and they just took them and they made them level 15 instead of level 5. So it's like, is it content or is it just bullshit? Yeah. So there's a story there, and I think the story is different as you progress it. So that's something. So it's not a 1, it's a 2, because even though it's incredibly expensive, you get a lot for it. It's just what you get is kind of not great. So I'm happy to leave it there. Memory burden. How easy is it to remember what you're doing? Not very easy. It's an RPG. RPGs all suffer the same thing, which is how long has it been since you played most recently? And if it's been too long, you're just going to make a new character. That's true if you're a teenager. As an adult, you're just not going to play the game. Because what's going to happen is, I made my character. I'm level 25. I'm in the Shindo Wazichi province. I have 55 side quests and 2 main quests. I have 17 items in my inventory. And I have 102 out of 304 skills. And I start reading and I start looking through my journal, which is essentially a bunch of circles with people's heads that have different objectives. And I try to make any sense. It looks like a Rorschach test, the quest map. After 4 weeks, if I haven't played the game in a long time, if I boot it up right now, I'll have no clue what's going on. And I'll be so overwhelmed by the prospect of trying to figure it out. I have 2 hours to play. I'm not trying to do 2 hours of research in my own playthrough just to find out what's going on. I want to start having fun immediately. And so, as a kid, you would say, okay, screw this. I'm going to make a new character because I want to play the game, but then I can align myself with the objective and start from scratch. As an adult, you're going to say, fuck this. I'm going to go play Binding of Isaac or something that has an immediate gratification mechanism where I don't need to do research just to start having fun again. That's not unique to this game. That's any long RPG where your single character can live a 100-year playthrough lifespan, right? So this suffers that same curse. And so the memory burden is also bad. Core loop satisfaction. It's like fun the first 2 camps you kill. Like, oh, like it's satisfying to assassinate a guy. It's true. Some of the combat is okay when you're not assassinating, but like there are some things that are enjoyable to chain together. I do a smoke bomb here and the aggro resets, so I can do a double assassination. I have some unique armor that lets me throw a kunai and instantly kill a guy after chaining in this assassination. There's things to enjoy here. They're just in a game world that as a whole isn't very enjoyable. Once you realize that, you stop caring about getting stronger. For me, when I first played the game and what got me through the 20 hours was, wow, look at this skill tree. Look at this world. Look at these quests. Look at how much there is to do here. I want to get stronger to take advantage of this world. And then after the first 15 hours, and I've been to 4 different provinces, and it's the same every time, I'm like, well, if this is the way the rest of the game is going to be, then there's really no point in me getting stronger because it's already boring. And so you will get there in this game where there isn't really a compelling reason for you to do everything the game has to offer. Maybe the story is an outlier there and that's going to keep you going. Again, I didn't experience that. I didn't care to. So suffice to say, there are fun things that Assassin's Creed does that only Assassin's Creed does. But this game, given that there are other Assassin's Creed games that essentially do everything better, but in a better universe, you're not really getting much out of this one in terms of core loop satisfaction, especially when you relate it to the price point. I'm not going to give this any of my personal points. I'll leave that at 0. So overall, what is this game? It's a 2.7, and I'm happy with that score because, again, this is not from what is the objective ranking of this game overall. This is, you're an individual with limited time to play. You're looking for the most enjoyment in the least amount of time so that you can actually have fun. If you start trying to pick this game up on weekdays after work, you're going to spend 2 hours every day, Monday through Friday, and you're still going to barely be into the game by the time the weekend hits. And you're just going to be so weak, and a lot of the things that you can do are going to be so limited that you're going to ask yourself, was it worth the time investment I've already spent, and what is the longevity of this? And then if you do what I did and you put another 10 hours into it, you're going to see that the peak was right at the beginning, and that everything else is just more of the same. It's the same 4 enemy types, they just have more HP, they still one-hit you because their damage goes up every region, and you're just going to be like, I don't really want to hide in a bush for another 5 minutes while the aggro resets. I don't really need to. So let's add this to the table of games. Assassin's Creed Shadows. So let's see, what are the scores here? 2, 4, 4, 2, 2, 2, 3. 2, 4, 4, 2, 2, 2, 3, and a 0. Can I put 0? I don't know if my formula is updated. It's tied. Oh, hello. There we go. Okay. Great. It's a 2.7. I'll fix this formula so it says 3 instead of 4. But that's it. So do with that information what you will. But I think, honestly, for somebody who doesn't have a lot of time to spend, I don't think it's worth getting into this one, especially for the price.